Shalom, Kol Holaim La Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shad Bashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And sister Shalom to the 144,001 third. Now, Donald J. Trump is the 47th President of the United States of America. And he promises day one in office, he will enact this Alien Enemies Act of 1798. So this article, brief little summary. I'm gonna go over it, line it up with the scriptures. Esau is gonna bust some moves, and it's gonna lead to hyperinflation. It's gonna lead to negative impacts here in the U.S. and Babylon, and it all goes back to Rome. You see, almost everything, if not everything, Babylon the Great is doing, the Roman Empire was doing as well. It's not that big of a difference. It's near identical. Why? Because America is Rome 2.0. Even has the eagle right there. See that? This is Donald Trump being quoted. I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to target and dismantle every migrant criminal network operating on American soil. What's the purpose of the Alien Enemies Act? Let's go back. Whenever there shall be a declared war between the U.S. and any foreign nation or government, so race, all right, and the President of the U.S. shall make public proclamation of the event, all natives, citizens, denizens, I don't even know what a denizen is. We're going to look that up. Denizens or subjects of the hostile nation or government, being males of the age of 14 years and upwards, who shall be within the U.S. and not actually neutralized, shall be liable to be apprehended, restrained, secured, and removed as alien enemies. So they're basically saying that anyone who could be a threat of a warrior, essentially, of this nation that hasn't been a U.S. citizen will be taken as the alien. Now, they did something similar with the Japanese after World War II, or during the end of World War II, when the Japanese kamikaze Pearl Harbor, they rounded up Japanese people, put them in concentration camps. When has the act been used before? The AEA has been used 3 times in American history, all in connection with major military conflicts. During the war of 1812, all British nationals living in the U.S. were required to report information including their age, length of time in the country, place of residence, family description, where they had applied for naturalization. World War I, Woodrow Wilson invoked it against Germans, Austrians, and Hungarians in the Ottoman Empire in Bulgaria. Now the third time, let's see what the third time was. All right, cool. The Japanese, also German and Italians, but the main target was the Japanese because of they kamikazed Pearl Harbor. I know that led to Fat Boy, was it Fat Boy and Little Man or something like that? Those 2 bombs that annihilated 2 Japanese cities. So this could be the third time. Now, from the looks of it, this is for war. Now, who knows? A war could break out against the small hats in Iran, and all Iranians, They're gonna come after the Northern Kingdom and the Southern Kingdom. You got what? Haitians, Jamaicans, what Nigerians coming here in Babylon the Great. Had a lot of Iranians. China is pushing up on Taiwan too, so they can do it for Chinese. So things are about to pop off. But what makes this worse is the immigrants heavily bolster the economy, just like in Rome. Rome used slaves to bolster their economy for their crops, just like here in Babylon the Great. Now let's get this right here. Alabama immigration crackdown cost state billions. Alabama's crackdown on illegal immigrants, widely seen as the toughest in the U.S., could cost the state economy up to $10.8 billion. The cost benefit analysis by the University of Alabama economist Samuel Addy estimated up to 80,000 jobs could be vacated by illegal immigrants fleeing the crackdown, costing Alabama's economy up to $10.8 billion. The lost jobs will cost Alabama up to $264.5 million in lost state sales and income taxes, and as much as $93.1 million in lost city and county sales. It found. So this could devastate Babylon, and of course Donald J. Trump is trying to push tariffs on many countries, which the consumer pays for. Now let's go to Revelation 6:6. This is Revelation 6:6. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine, and a penny is a day's wage. So this is what hyperinflation. And the tariffs, the Alien Enemies Act can lead to what? Hyperinflation. The failing of money. And guess what? Egypt's money failed. Rome's money failed. Hyperinflation. A few videos back, I did a video on what? The hyperinflation, the economic collapse of Rome. Now let's go to Revelations 13 and in front of top verse 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 hands and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet was as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And this beast is going to what? Esau's structure on the earth, starting with what? Babylon the Great, which is what? Rome. Rome 2.0. This is the Roman Empire all over again. Started with the what? The Renaissance. The Renaissance was Esau getting his culture, his livelihood back that he created during his reign as the Romans. Because as we know, the true history of the Dark Ages is when Jacob, Yaquab, primarily the Southern Kingdom, was ruling uh, that part of Eurasia, or really just Asia. They was ruling that part, and Esau was brought down very low. Revelations the 20th chapter, the bottomless pit. He was brought down low. Of course, the Heavenly Father rose him up. They was called what? Woodwose, the wild man, and they came into power because the Heavenly Father wanted to play out that way to fulfill prophecy. This is Genesis 47:15. And when money failed in the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence? For the money faileth. So you may have Jakes out here that got things going on, part of the elect, and people are going to come to them for what? Security. But the main point I want to get in that verse is the money failed in the land of Egypt. They experienced hyperinflation and a full-on economic collapse. But guess what? This time is going to be different, because back then there was more unity, there was more integrity. Nowadays people are gonna eat each other. They're just gonna eat each other, kill and eat each other, and they're gonna pillage like never before. So many weapons and mental illness here in Babylon the Great. A lot of mental illness here in Babylon the Great. All right. Now let's finish this up before my laptop dies. Let's go to this is 2nd Ezra 15:11. But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before. So this place is going to get plagued, just like Egypt got plagued. Of course, certain plagues aren't going to happen. I believe it was the locusts. The Heavenly Father said there will never be a plague of locusts like the plague of locusts in Egypt. I think it was locusts. You can correct me on that. You can just look it up. I don't feel like doing it right now. But other than something like that, like a promise from the Heavenly Father, this place is going to get plagued. And one of them plagues is going to be what? An economic disaster. This is this. It, Donald J. Trump has promised this Alien Enemies Act. And you got all these wars brewing up. So you can very well see, especially with Taiwan, a war against Taiwan will they said it'll slash the stock market in half. So you best expect some hyperinflation. I mean, the average cost of things nowadays has already doubled. Like food's doubled 70-80% over the few years. I saw data $100,000 in, I think it was the 80s, would be $400,000 now. So if you had $100,000 in the 80s, that would be as if you have $400,000 now. And if you had $100,000 in the early 2000s, it'll be like $180,000 now. So that's how much everything has increased. I mean, just go back. That's 20 years. 20 years ago, if you had $100,000, that would be equivalent to having $180,000 right now. Do you understand how catastrophic something like that is? People's feeling the blunt of it. And it's going to keep getting worse and worse until this thing pops and the MOTB is ushered in, man. With that, I say shalom.